Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Titan English. I'm James. Today's story is called The Green Door. Before we begin, please find a quiet place if you can. Put on your headphones, relax your mind, and listen carefully. This story is written in clear, natural English, so you can enjoy the story and improve your listening at the same time. If you enjoy learning English through stories, please remember to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Titan English for more story lessons. All right, are you ready? Let's begin. Many years ago, I had an old friend named Nathan Cole. Nathan was not the kind of man who shared his feelings easily. He was quiet, intelligent, and serious. When he spoke, he chose his words carefully. And when he smiled, it seemed as if the smile came from a very deep place inside him. Most people thought Nathan was a successful man. He had a good education, a respected job, and a comfortable life in the city. People listened when he spoke. Important men invited him to dinners and meetings. To the outside world, Nathan Cole had almost everything a man could want, but I knew there was something missing. I had known Nathan since we were boys. We had gone to the same school, though he had always been far ahead of me. He learned faster than I did. He remembered more than I did. And he understood difficult things before the rest of us even knew where to begin. Teachers admired him. Other boys envied him. And I, in my own quiet way, looked up to him. But even when we were young, I noticed something strange about him. Sometimes, in the middle of a conversation, Nathan would suddenly become distant. His eyes would move away from the person speaking to him. He would look past the classroom window, past the trees, past the gray school walls, as if he were seeing another place entirely. If you called his name, he did not always answer at once. After a moment, he would blink, turn his head, and smile politely. "I'm sorry," he would say. "I was thinking," but I never believed he was only thinking. It seemed to me that Nathan was remembering something beautiful, something painful, something he could not explain. Years passed, and life took us in different directions. I became an ordinary man with ordinary responsibilities. Nathan became a public figure. He attended important meetings, gave speeches, and carried heavy responsibilities on his shoulders. I did not see him often, But whenever I did, I noticed the same thing. He was successful, yes, but there was always a shadow behind his eyes. One autumn evening, Nathan invited me to dinner. It was a cold evening, with rain tapping softly against the windows. The restaurant was warm and quiet. There were candles on the tables, soft music in the background, and waiters moving gently between the chairs. At first, we spoke about ordinary things: work, old school friends, the city, the weather, and the strange speed of modern life. But Nathan looked tired, not only tired in the body, but tired somewhere deeper. Finally, I said, "Nathan, are you all right?" He looked at me for a long moment, then gave a small, sad laugh. "No," he said quietly, "I don't think I am." I waited, and he looked down at his hands. "There is something I have never told you properly," he said. "Something from my childhood." I smiled gently and said, "We all have strange childhood memories." But Nathan shook his head. "No," he said, "this is different." The way he said those words made me sit up a little straighter. There was something in his voice that made the restaurant feel colder, even though the room was warm. "I don't know whether you will believe me," he continued. "I'm not even sure I want you to believe me. Perhaps it would be easier if you didn't, but I need to tell someone, and you knew me when I was young. That matters." I looked at him and said, "Tell me." Nathan took a slow breath. "I was 5 years old," he began. "Maybe 5.5. I was a clever child, or at least people said I was. My mother had died when I was very young, so I lived with my father and a nurse. My father was a strict man. He believed children should be quiet, obedient, and useful." He smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "I was not unhappy every day," he said, "but I was lonely, very lonely. I had books, lessons, clean clothes, and a comfortable room, but I did not have warmth, not the kind a child needs." He paused and looked toward the dark window. One afternoon, I wandered away from home. I don't remember exactly how it happened. Perhaps the nurse was busy. Perhaps a door was left open. Perhaps I was more determined than anyone realized. But somehow I found myself walking alone through streets I did not know. He looked back at me. The city felt enormous. The houses were tall and gray. The sky was pale. There were carriages in the road. People walking quickly, shop windows, smoke, and noise. I should have been frightened, but I wasn't, not at first. And then, he said, I saw the wall. I said nothing. It was a white wall, Nathan continued. A long white wall, cleaner and brighter than everything around it. There was a plant growing over part of it, with red leaves, bright red, like little flames in the afternoon light. And in the middle of that wall, there was a green door. He stopped for a moment. I remember the restaurant suddenly felt very quiet. A green door? I asked. Yes, he said. A small green door, simple and plain, but the moment I saw it, I knew it was important. I asked him how he could know that. He shook his head slowly. I don't know, he said. That is the strange part. I only knew. Nathan closed his eyes for a moment. I stood in front of it. I wanted to open it more than I had ever wanted anything in my life. But at the same time, I felt afraid. Not afraid of what was behind it, afraid of being wrong, afraid of disobeying, afraid my father would be angry. He smiled faintly. Even at 5 years old, I had already learned to be afraid of doing what I wanted. He continued, I walked past the door once. I tried to pretend I was not interested. I put my hands in my pockets and looked at the shops nearby. There was a dirty little shop with old tools and paint cans in the window. I stared at those things as if they mattered. But they did not matter. The door mattered. His voice became softer. Finally, I could not resist it. I ran back, put my hand on the door, and pushed. It opened, and I stepped through. For a moment, Nathan said nothing more. Then he whispered, and on the other side, there was a garden. A garden? I asked. He nodded. Yes, but not an ordinary garden. It was the most beautiful place I had ever seen. The air was warm and clear. The colors were brighter than normal colors. The flowers looked fresh, as if they had just been created. There was a wide path in front of me, with smooth, pale stone on each side. The sky above was blue, but softer than the sky outside. Everything felt safe. He looked down, smiling now, but with tears in his eyes. It felt like coming home, he said. There were 2 large cats, panthers, I suppose, beautiful spotted animals. They were playing with a ball on the path. I must have looked surprised because he raised one hand. I know how it sounds, but I was not afraid. One of them came toward me and rubbed its head against my hand like a friendly house cat. I touched its fur. It was warm and soft, and the animal purred. Then Nathan laughed quietly. "Imagine that," he said, "a child of 5 lost in the city, stroking a panther in a secret garden behind a green door." I asked him what happened next. "Then a girl came to meet me," he said. "She was older than I was, perhaps 12 or 13. She had bright hair and kind eyes. She did not seem surprised to see me. She smiled as if she had been waiting for me, and then she took my hand." Nathan was silent for a few seconds. "No one had held my hand like that before," he said. "Not with such kindness, not as if I belonged." The rain continued tapping against the window while he spoke. "She led me along the path. We walked under tall trees. White birds flew above us. A small monkey climbed down from a branch and jumped onto my shoulder. It sat there as if we were old friends. We came to a palace," Nathan said. "At least that is what I call it now. I don't know what else to call it." There were fountains, open halls, white columns, cool shadows, and sunlight on the floor. People were there, many people. All of them seemed gentle. All of them looked at me with love. His voice broke slightly. "Love," he repeated. "That is the word." I did not understand it then, not fully, but I felt it. I had never felt so welcome anywhere. I asked him what he did there, and he answered, "I played." The answer was simple, but it seemed to carry the weight of his whole life. "There were other children," he said. "2 of them became my special friends, though I cannot remember their names. I cannot even clearly remember their faces, but I remember the feeling of being with them. We played in a grassy courtyard near a sundial. There were flowers everywhere, and the air smelled sweet." "What games did you play?" I asked. Nathan looked sad again. "That is the strange thing," he said. "I don't remember. I have tried all my life to remember. Sometimes, as a child, I cried because I could not remember the rules of those games. I wanted to play them again, alone, in my room, but I couldn't. I only remembered the joy."
Pure joy, that is all. Then his face darkened, but I did not stay.
I knew before he continued that this was the painful part.
A woman came, he said. She wore a long, pale dress and carried a book. She was not frightening. She was calm and kind. But when she appeared, my friends became quiet. He stared at the candle on the table. She called me to her. I did not want to leave the children, but I went. She took me into a quiet room and sat beside me. Then she opened the book. I asked him what kind of book it was. A book of my life, Nathan said. The pages were not ordinary pages. They showed moving pictures, real scenes. I saw my home. I saw my father. I saw the nursery. I saw the street. Then I saw myself standing outside the green door, hesitating. He rubbed his forehead. I wanted to see the next page. I wanted to know what happened after I opened the door. But the woman tried to stop me. I begged her. I reached for the page. She looked sad, so sad, and she kissed my forehead. His voice became very low. Then I turned the page, and suddenly I was outside again. Outside the door? I asked. He shook his head. No, outside in the gray street. The garden was gone. The door was gone. I was alone, standing on the pavement, and evening was coming. I began to cry. Nathan took a long breath. I cried because I had lost everything. The garden, the children, the girl, the panthers, the warmth and the feeling of being loved, all of it had vanished. I asked him what happened then. People found me, he said. An old man asked if I was lost. A policeman came. A small crowd gathered. I was taken home. He gave a bitter smile. And then, of course, no one believed me. My father was furious, Nathan continued. He said I had lied. He punished me. My aunt said the same. The nurse said I had read too many fairy stories. They took away my books and told everyone not to listen if I spoke about the garden again. So I stopped speaking about it. I looked at him and said, "But you remembered." He nodded. Yes, I remembered every day. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Nathan said, "For years I prayed to dream of it again." At night, before sleep,
I asked God to let me go back.
Sometimes I did dream of it, but dreams were never the same. They were weak copies.
The real garden had been stronger than any dream. I asked him if he ever found the door again. Nathan looked at me carefully. Yes, that is why I know it was not only a dream. I felt my mouth become dry. When? I asked. The first time was when I was at school, he said. I must have been about 9. I used to play a game on the way to school. Instead of taking the same route every day, I tried to find new streets and shortcuts. I called it my adventure game. One morning, I took a wrong turn. I went down a narrow street I did not know. I thought I might be late, so I began to hurry. Then I saw a row of old shops, and beyond them I saw the wall. The white wall? I said. Yes, he whispered, the white wall, the red leaves, and the green door. He looked at me with deep sadness, and I did not go in. Why not? I asked. Nathan looked ashamed, because I was afraid of being late for school. The answer sounded almost foolish, but the pain on his face was not foolish. I was a good student, he said. I had never been late. I had a record to protect. I thought, the door is there now. I can come back later, so I ran past it. I ran past paradise because I did not want to be late for school. That afternoon, Nathan told another boy. He said he should not have done it, but he was too excited to keep the secret inside. The other boy told more boys. Soon, several of them were laughing at Nathan and demanding that he show them the magic door. Nathan tried. He led them through the streets, sure that he could find it again. But the door was gone. They searched and searched. There were only ordinary walls, dirty shops, locked gates, and gray houses. The boys called me a liar, Nathan said. For weeks they mocked me. But that was not what hurt most. What hurt was knowing that I had lost my chance. He was quiet for a moment. After that, I searched for the door many times, alone, in secret, but I never found it. Until later? I asked. He nodded. When I was 17, I won a scholarship. I was on my way to the station, sitting in a cab, feeling proud and grown up. Then, suddenly, I saw it again. The cab passed it. I saw the wall, the leaves, and the door. I almost shouted for the driver to stop. "But you didn't?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I did not." I asked him why. "Because I had just won something important," he said. "My future was beginning." I thought if I went through that door, I might lose everything. My scholarship, my father's approval, my career. So I stayed in the cab. That night, I told myself I had made the right choice. "For a while," he said, "yes, I worked hard. I became successful. I met important people. I traveled. I attended dinners. I spoke in public. People praised me." "And the garden?" I asked. He looked toward the window and said, "It waited." Nathan saw the door again in his 20s. He was on his way to see a woman he loved, a woman whose name he refused to tell me. He said she was beautiful. At that time, he believed his whole future depended on seeing her that evening. He took a shortcut through a quiet street, and there it was again. The white wall, the red leaves, the green door. But again, he did not stop. He told himself love was waiting for him somewhere else. Later, he learned that it was not. By then, the restaurant was almost empty. The waiter came to ask if we wanted anything more. Nathan waved him away. I asked him, "And recently?" His expression changed. "Recently," he said, "I have seen it 3 times." I stared at him. 3 times? He nodded. In 1 year. The first time, Nathan said, I was being driven to an important meeting. There had been a crisis at work. Everyone was waiting for me. The car turned a corner, and for 1 second, the headlights fell on a white wall. There it was, the green door. I asked if the driver stopped. "No," he said. I said nothing. The second time, he continued, I was going to my father's bedside. He was dying. I lowered my eyes. "I could not stop then," Nathan said. Whatever kind of father he had been, he was still my father, so I passed the door again. "And the third time?" I asked. Nathan's face became very pale. "The third time was last week," he said. I was walking after dinner with 2 colleagues. We were discussing my future. A position had been offered to me, a very important position. The kind of position I had spent my whole life working toward. And then I saw it. The door? I said. Yes, he replied. We were walking past it. I was close enough to touch it. One step to the side, and my hand would have been on the handle. I asked him what he did. I kept walking, he said. His voice was full of shame. I kept walking because I was afraid of what people would say. Afraid of disappearing. Afraid of ruining everything I had built. Then Nathan looked at me and said, "Do you understand? All my life, I have chosen the world that praised me over the world that loved me." I had no answer. His hands were trembling slightly. "And now," he said, "I cannot work. I cannot sleep. I walk the streets at night, hoping to find it again. I tell myself that if I see it one more time, I will go through, no matter what. No matter who is waiting for me, no matter what I lose. The candle between us had burned low. I remember the way his face looked in that final light, sad, hopeful, and lost. When we left the restaurant, the rain had stopped. The street shone under the lamps. I offered to walk with him, but he refused. "I'll be fine," he said. He shook my hand. His hand was cold. "Thank you for listening," he said. Then he turned and walked away into the wet, shining street. That was the last time I saw Nathan Cole alive. 3 days later, I opened the newspaper and saw his name. At first, I thought it must be another Nathan Cole. There are many people in a large city. Names repeat, mistakes happen, but it was him. The article was short. Nathan Cole had been found dead early that morning near a construction site in the east part of the city. Workers had been digging a deep shaft for a new underground railway line. The area had been surrounded by a temporary wooden barrier. There was a small door in the barrier. Someone had left it unlocked. The report said Nathan must have opened the door in the darkness, stepped through, and fallen. That was all. A simple accident. A terrible, simple accident. I put the newspaper down and sat very still. I imagined him walking alone at night. Perhaps he was tired. Perhaps he was half dreaming. Perhaps, for one brief moment, that rough little door looked green. And perhaps he thought, at last, I do not know what happened next. Some people would say there was never any magical garden. They would say Nathan was lonely as a child,
unhappy as a man, and finally confused by his own memories.
But I am not sure, because when Nathan told me his story, I saw his face. I heard his voice. I felt the truth of his longing. And there are some things in life that cannot be explained easily. A dream can be more powerful than a fact. Was Nathan mistaken? Maybe. Did he find the garden at the end? I cannot say. But sometimes when I walk through the city on quiet evenings, I look at the walls beside me. I notice old doors, green doors, white walls, red leaves climbing over bricks. And I wonder, if such a door appeared in front of me, would I open it? Or would I, like Nathan, think of my work, my duties, my plans, my fear, and walk past it? That is the question his story left with me, and perhaps, dear listener, it is the question this story leaves with you too. Because maybe every person has a green door somewhere, not always a real door. Maybe it is a chance, a dream, a different life. A person we should have loved better, a path we were afraid to take. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we pass it. Sometimes we tell ourselves we will come back later, but later is not always waiting for us. So if you ever find your green door, whatever it may be, stop for a moment. Listen to your heart and ask yourself honestly, is this something I should walk away from? Or is this the door I have been waiting for my whole life? That is the end of today's story. Thank you for listening to Titan English. I'm James. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to Titan English, and share it with someone who enjoys mysterious English stories. And now, I have a question for you. What do you think the green door means? Write your answer in the comments. Thank you for learning with us. Keep listening, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next story.
Bài học đến đây đã kết thúc rồi. Đừng quên luyện tập bài học hàng ngày để kỹ năng tiếng Anh của bạn ngày một tiến bộ nhé. Chúng tôi hy vọng bạn thấy bài học hữu ích. Chúc các bạn học vui và một ngày tốt lành.